Hello there. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with some more X-Files. I always look forward to watching this series, even though we are only still up to Season 1, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on? My name is Elie Moses, a 24-year-old law and film student here from Sydney, Australia. Absolutely shooting a shot, and today we are up to episode 17 of the X-Files Season 1. That's right. We are 17 episodes in now. This one is titled E.B.E. Hopefully we get some more Brother Tate in this episode. But yeah, we're going to get into the reaction. We're going to have some fun with this thing. And as always, that's absolutely freaking special. Let's go. Damn, that's pretty damn good pilot. Unless the aliens were just lacking.
This is Southern Crescent to Red Crescent. We've got a down plane at Camp Perimeter.
Southern Crescent is Red Crescent. That's a negative. We have nothing in the sky, sir.
Well, we got something down here. Advise medevac unit to be on standby. We're gonna check it out.
We got nothing in the sky here. That's because it's down, bro. That's because it was downed. It looks like he didn't get him. Looks like he didn't get him.
It was cigar-shaped, red and green lights, fast as hell.
I've seen 3 of them flying over Chester County.
Right. 6 troopers were chasing them down 22.
Sounds like GTA radio.
Oh, I see one now. It's over the water tower.
Yeah, you can hear something, yeah, throbbing and orbiting in the background. Must be sort of like a large EMP dispersed around the area. Now, why are we just shooting into boxes? Or he must have seen something, who knows?
From the trucker's description, the shape he fired upon could conceivably have been a mountain lion's.
Conceivably.
The National Weather Service last night reported atmospheric conditions in this area, which were possibly conducive to lightning.
Possibly.
It is feasible that the truck was struck by lightning, creating the electrical failure.
Feasible.
Feasible. Possible.
And you know, there's a marsh over there.
How can a dozen witnesses, including a squad of police vehicles from 3 counties, become hysterical over swamp gas? I've investigated multiple sightings before. Chesapeake Bay, the Okoboji Lakes, Area 51 in Nevada.
There we
Not
go.
this much supporting evidence. Anecdotal data, exhaust residue, radiation levels 5 times the norm.
Mulder, none of that evidence is conclusive.
The only question for me is, why was the truck driver singled out?
Isn't it more plausible that an exhausted truck driver became swept up in the hysteria and fired upon hallucinations? I mean, after all, the road can play tricks on you.
Yeah, it can play tricks on me. Not like this. I started these stopwatches at the same time.
I don't know why they're holding me. Mr. Ranheim, I'm Police Chief Rivers. Please forgive the misunderstanding. Your truck's been squared away. You may go.
I'd like to examine the truck.
That won't be necessary.
This man has had an alleged close encounter. The truck undoubtedly contains important trace evidence. Sir, if I may.
You've gotten all you're going to get out of this county. We will no longer cooperate in your investigation.
Why?
Just go away.
Hey, the powers that be interfered, man. The higher ups.
Obvious someone got to the police chief. Manheim was hiding something.
Manheim was sick.
He only became sick last night.
Excuse me, can I use your pen? What are you suggesting, that Gulf War syndrome is caused by UFOs?
UFOs are frequently witnessed by soldiers during wartime.
Thanks. Here you go. Mulder, the only UFOs that soldiers are likely to see are secret military aircraft.
Perhaps that's what made the soldiers in Iraq sick. The exhaust or fuel of a classified aircraft or its weapon.
Well, there is a base in Little Rock. You think that's what the Air Force was flying?
They deny it, but it could possibly explain how Ranheim developed the symptoms.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Some people when we get back to Washington.
Mulder, the military isn't going to talk about classified aircraft.
No, these guys are like an extreme government watchdog group. They publish a magazine called The Lone Gunman. Some of their information is first rate, covert actions, classified weapons. Some of their ideas are downright spooky.
He's being put into power by the most heinous and evil force of the 20th century,
Barney?
the CIA.
Is this your skeptical partner?
She's hot.
Hey.
You don't believe that the CIA, threatened by a loss of power and funding because of the collapse of the Cold War, wouldn't dream of having the old enemy back?
I think you give the government too much credit. I mean, the government can't control a deficit or manage crime.
Lone gunman.
What makes you think they can plan and execute such an elaborate conspiracy?
She is hot.
Settle down, Prohickey.
We're not talking about a bunch of idiots up on a hill trying to bone the Capitol pages. We're talking about a dark network, a government within a government, controlling our every move.
How can they do that?
How? I'll show you how. You got a $20 bill?
Hey!
$20, man.
That's just one method. We use this magnetic strip to track you. Whenever you go through a metal detector at an airport, they know exactly how much you're carrying and where you're carrying it.
Hey, buyers, it is a federal crime to deface money.
The strip is an anti-counterfeiting measure.
How come it's on the inside? Other countries put that strip on the outside.
Oh,
What are they hiding?
Okay. All right. What do you know about the Gulf War syndrome?
UFOs cause the Gulf War syndrome. That's a good one.
That's why we like you, Mulder. Your ideas are weirder than ours.
Those are the most paranoid people I have ever met. I don't know how you could think that what they say is even remotely plausible.
I think it's remotely plausible that someone might think you're hot.
Hey, Mulder got game.
Did you see the way they answered the telephone? They probably think that every call they get is monitored and they're followed everywhere they go. It's a form of self-delusion. It makes them think that what they're doing is important enough that somebody would...
Oh, that's right. Wait. Why does I click the spacebar and it click?
What's the matter?
I click the spacebar and it's meant to pause.
It makes them think that what they're doing is important enough that somebody would...
The lady sabotaged the pen because she's like at the place that the rent a car. She's like,
What's the matter?
you know, she's like, can I use your pen? She defaced the pen or did something to it. He must have swapped out the pen, right? There ain't no way she would have done it that quick. He knows which pen Scully uses. He back.
Gotcha's report for spring training this week.
Yeah, what are we doing here?
You're calling, did you, Mr. Mulder? Yeah, maybe this year we can gotcha game at counting yards. Of course, we wouldn't be able to sit together.
That's too bad. Something tells me you'd have the connections to get great seats.
Any park in the country.
Hey, taking photos in the
Just a
background.
tourist.
In our line, nothing is just what it seems.
What am I onto?
A dangerous path.
I checked his manifest. It listed a truck carrying 108 cartons of auto parts weighing 3,100 pounds. Then I checked with 3 weigh stations along his route, and they have it listed at 5,100 pounds. There's something in that truck, Mulder, and it's not auto parts.
Let's
and
go,
of course,
Scully.
nobody ever reported him. Furthermore, Ranheim lied to us about being in the Gulf War. His real name is Frank Druce, and I worked hard to get this one. He was Special Operations Black Beret in Mosul, northern Iraq. Also, he didn't get sick from the encounter the other night. He's been to the VA hospital for treatments 3 times in the past year.
We had it. We had it and we let it go. The military has, in the past, transported dangerous materials and weapons in unmarked trucks across the country. Beginning to sound like those guys over the long gun, right?
Where did you obtain this information?
Let's just say it's a source with a deep background.
We work for the Federal Bureau of Investigation and we're being bugged. What does that tell you?
That tells me that not everything is as it appears to be.
Exactly. And for all we know, this deep background is the one responsible for the bug.
He's never lied to me. I won't break that confidence. I trust him.
Mulder, you're the only one I trust.
Ooh.
And you're gonna have to trust me.
I cut the main breaker.
Guy just everywhere.
You risk exposure coming here.
What I have here is too important. The photograph in that envelope was taken by an officer at Fort Benning, Georgia. 17 UFOs were spotted in 1 hour.
Damn.
Is that where the Iraqi wreckage is being held? Are UFOs monitoring the area?
Nice place you have here.
Wait. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you. You've helped my work so much, and you've never asked for anything in return, and I know you've put yourself at great risk to do so.
But did he cut the main breaker just in case there was any electronic devices monitoring Mulder in this conversation? Or being bugged?
This is the best photographic evidence I have ever seen. When I first saw the Gulf Breeze photos, I knew they were a hoax, but this is the quality of evidence the government has amassed for decades at the highest classified levels. That business with the truck was just a decoy to keep anyone looking closely away from Fort Benning, where they are keeping the remains of the Iraqi UFO. We've got to leave for Georgia immediately, Scully. Come
Mulder,
on.
this photograph is a fake.
What?
Look.
You're looking at the reflection in the
The
car?
soldier's shadow is allegedly created by the lights from the UFO, but it falls in a direction contradictory to the craft's position.
There could be an off-camera light source creating that shadow.
Now look closely at the color of the light reflected in the windshield.
There we go.
Now that reflection should be from the red lights of the UFO, but it doesn't match the color of the ship's light.
Yeah, there's probably a degree of tint in the windshield, or the gradation could be attributed to atmospheric conditions.
Mulder, we should have it analyzed.
Why don't you just admit it, Scully? You're determined not to believe him.
Well, maybe you're too determined to believe him.
I am determined to follow a lead that may result in the proof of the existence of extraterrestrial biological entities. I need to go.
Mulder, listen to me.
No.
Please, will you just hear me? I have never met anyone so passionate and dedicated to a belief as you. It's so intense that sometimes it's blinding. But there
I
are
agree with
others
Scully
who
here.
are watching you, who know what I know. And whereas I can respect and admire your passion, they will use it against you. Mulder, the truth is out there. But so are lies.
Thank you.
Scully stating facts. I listen, I intend to believe Scully right there. You know, Mulder is so passionate about this, but that passion almost creates this resounding stubbornness that is almost impossible to break at times, in my opinion. Like, I feel like Scully does her best job to hear Mulder out a lot of the times, and then she obviously retorts back and has her explanations or scientific explanations and theories that could possibly explain what had happened, other than, you know, Mulder just, you know, banking it on a UFO or an extraterrestrial being and stuff like that. And I kind of side with Scully on this one. She called out Mulder right there, like, just hear me out for a second, hear me out. Let's get this photo analyzed. Let's see what people actually say about that. And, you know, Mulder had the correct, or like Mulder had the rebuttals right there to describe, you know, what Scully was, you know, talking about, you know, the discrepancies in the photos and the photo and why it could be fake. But, you know, I feel like an expert analysis would be much better than Mulder just being blinded by, you know, yeah, his belief that it was a UFO. And because he's running out of time, because the truck's on the way to Georgia or Colorado, I believe, I can't remember, because it's already on its way there, he feels like he's pressed for time. And that's why the expert analysis will take time away from that. So he's already concluded in his mind that, you know, it's a real photo. And, you know, he may be right. He may be right. He actually may be right. And the explanations he provided are right. But you can easily see that he's already concluded in his mind like what it is, and nothing that Scully's gonna say is gonna break that. Hey, who tipped over the briefcase?
I had the photo analyzed
Oh.
by the Bureau's computers. Initially, it appears to be legitimate. The film grain matches in pattern and density, color levels, shading. And I noticed this. It's the moon, half full. Add the reflection in this window enlarged by 25. There's the moon again, a quarter full. Not to mention the fact that the window couldn't even catch the moon's reflection from that angle. You were right, Scully. It's a fake.
Thank
They
you,
tried to
Mulder.
deceive us.
Thank you, Mulder.
Now we're alone on this. There's no one we can trust. They went to a lot of trouble to put us on the wrong track. There's something here that no one's supposed to find.
But why would Deep Throat try and deceive Mulder when I feel like he's been helping him the entire time?
At least you're not insulting me further by feigning appalled surprise.
On the contrary, I think a compliment is in order. That photo was prepared by our very best.
I thought you were my ally.
I am.
Yeah, imagine if Eisenhower told the rest of the Allies that D-Day would take place in Belgium.
Mr. Mulder, I place my life in great jeopardy every time we speak. I've been
So what is a test,
participant in
potentially?
the most insidious lies and witness to deeds that no crazed man can imagine. I spent years watching you from my lofty position to know that you were the one I could trust.
And why did you lie to me?
I needed to divert you. You and Scully are excellent investigators, and your motives are just. However, there still exists some secrets which should remain secret. Truths that people are just not ready to know.
Who are you to decide that for me?
The world's reaction to such knowledge would be far too dangerous.
Dangerous. You mean in the sense of outrage? Like the reaction to the Kennedy assassination, or MIAs, or radiation experiments on terminal patients, Watergate, Iran-Contra, Roswell, the Tuskegee experiments. Where will it end? I guess it won't end as long as men like you decide what is truth.
Not just him, but I feel
the
like
transcript you gave me, the Iraqi pilot, that was the truth, wasn't it? Why did you even bother to show it to me?
Well, I was aware that you were onto the truck, so I knew that down the road I would have to steer you away, that I would have to lie to you. And a lie, Mr. Mulder, is most convincingly hidden between two truths. Mulder, if a shark stops swimming, it will die. Don't stop swimming. I'm not responsible for the electronic surveillance, but I do know they can still hear you.
and that's why he cut the breaker off, right? To warn him that it's still within his house. He's being bugged in his own house, and he has to find it. Hey, Finding Nemo said it best, man. Dory, just keep swimming. Just keep swimming, Mulder. Don't stop. Keep going. There we go. Yeah, I feel like Deep Throat is protecting Mulder, but I feel like there are certain instances where if he does get too close, you can't have that revealed right now. And I feel like the higher ups will want it revealed or will let Mulder in so as they please, if that makes sense. Like when they want Mulder and Scully to be let in on it, they will let Mulder and Scully in on it. And if they get too close at a time they don't want them to know, then that's where Deep Throat comes in and will potentially mislead Mulder, for example, with the photo. And I feel like it was probably a good test as well to see if the photo was fake, to see how gullible he is, and whether his passion does blind him. And I feel like what Scully said got to him. which I was saying before, it potentially won't. And he was on that path where he was just so adamant that it was true, where I feel like he probably stopped to reflect and he's like, let me listen to Scully. And he did, and it was a fake. So, and it was great work by the analytical team and Mulder to pick out, the discrepancies in the moon right there. But I feel like Deep Throat, in a way, he selected Mulder as his candidate to potentially be this individual, be this investigator to, find these truths. But at his at Deep Throat and the higher ups potentially at their own accord, if that makes sense. So like Mulder will discover the real stuff so as they please. And when they deem the time is right, potentially. That's how I see it. Because I feel like Deep Throat, even though Mulder may get, because of his passion for it, may get, a little bit frustrated with him, as we saw right now. I feel like, in a way, Deep Throat is protecting Mulder. And we saw it with the episode with the Bureau. I think it was a couple of episodes ago at the end where Deep Throat had that conversation with the FBI head. And, he was sort of calming him down and saying why you need to keep Mulder there. And it's better that we keep Mulder within the FBI. He basically kept Mulder in his job. And that, when the time comes right, when he does screw up, then you can get rid of him. Or like he's useful to us in the FBI rather than out. And he sort of saved Mulder's job right there. So yeah, I feel like he has selected Mulder as his candidate. He has been watching him a long time. But in a way, he's protecting him. And he's given him hints this episode. For example, Mulder right now is looking for the bug in his house because he cut the main breaker off before. And I feel like that was a warning to, and then he said, you have a nice house. So I think it is in his house, the bug. And he said they can still hear you. I mean, it could be anywhere. Look at Scully's pen. Damn, he done ransacked the whole joint. Bingo? There we go.
Scully, hey, glad you dropped by. I've been thinking about this whole situation, And I think you're right. I think they won this one. I think we should just move on.
The back and forths between Mulder and Scully this episode have been so good.
I think this time you're right, Mulder.
Hey. They can hear them, but they can't see them. They can't see the performance going on at the moment. This ain't live streamed. The people listening in on that conversation would have been like, phew, they're off our trail. And we're right back on their trail. You can tell that this episode is, one of these main ones here that's part of the overarching story that's going on. And it's really, really, really well done. It's like spy, thriller, espionage. I even had like sort of the instances.
Scully, a round trip ticket to Chicago.
The instances from this season reference like Otobogi, I believe, Otoboji, which is like what I was saying earlier on in the show. I really hope that these occurrences or these sort of Monster of the Week type episodes are referenced later on, and they do come into play, and they have, and they will reference this episode, which is great stuff.
Here's your credit card, and the plane departs at gate 35.
Now, this is probably, I think, possibly an elaborate plan from Mulder and Scully to draw the attention away from those watching them. Scully's at the airport, Mulder's here. And rather than staying together, they go there in separate ways. Now, I think Deep Throat would potentially know as well that Mulder would do this, because he did warn him about the bug after all. Baltimore, The Wire, let's go! One drove, one took the plane. Or one took the plane, sorry.
Called
They
every
both
way
took the plane, but
station
from
and
different.
bureau office west of Colorado. Tied up an airphone for 3 hours. I don't speak Japanese, but I think some businessman told me to stick a piece of sushi where the sun don't shine.
It's heading northwest on I-90. We have to get a couple tickets to Seattle.
Hey, Seattle! Woo! Up the Seahawks. Come on, baby.
Think about it. This truck drove across America. People that passed on the road probably thought it was hauling auto parts or furniture, livestock, whatever. Nobody would have suspected it was hauling a craft from another world.
Hiding in plain sight. I'm just potentially thinking back to the start of the episode. The conversation they would have had with that, police officer at the station. The chief right there. You gotta let this guy go. You gotta let this guy go, and you gotta let that truck back on the road, ladies and gentlemen. And that police agent, yes, sir. We got nothing to do with this. It didn't happen. So you're telling me Mulder and Scully, they gotta pull off
Mulder, we've been following this truck for hours.
a Vin Diesel heist right here.
Maybe he knows we're following him and he's taking an evasive route.
Oh, if that were the case.
There's that radio interference again, EMP, electromagnetic disturbance. Could this be similar to episode 1, the very first episode as well? Episode 1 or 2, when they entered that little pocket and time operated differently. The time went by quicker. This has been a really, really good episode.
Ranheim! Ranheim!
Great atmosphere of mystery this episode. Hey, maybe there were 2 trucks. Maybe it does have auto parts. It was a divergent. It was a decoy.
Holly.
Or maybe not.
I think we were just witness to a rescue mission.
Damn, so the aliens boys just came and said, we gotta get this guy out. Bust the brother out.
What just happened? Does it fit the profile?
You're asking me if it was real? We just have a close encounter?
The truth is out there.
It was another hoax.
Ah.
But how could anyone generate such force?
Whatever they used, we probably haven't heard of it. Sound weapons, stealth helicopter with an ultra-high intensity light. Doesn't matter. There's no evidence that this was a UFO.
So they created this elaborate show just to deflect us here.
I was saying it's possibly a decoy.
Wouldn't it have been easier for them
Just to kill us. Yeah, I wondered that myself. Maybe they're using me against myself, like you said before. That I want so badly to believe that I just accept the obvious conclusions.
I was saying that right before.
Now we have nothing to go on. No one to turn to.
There's still one player in all this who hasn't lied to us. But it's not quite someone we can turn to. Leverling and Priest Rapids, east bank of the Columbia River. Did you send out a field investigator?
Is he talking about Deep Throat here? Because, yeah, you don't turn to him. He turns to you. He organizes the meetups and things like that. So possibly, we had the big bright light. Everything was stopped. So this was all an elaborate plan from, the government or, the higher ups here to stage this encounter here. And obviously Mulder had the compass readings or whatever they were. And yeah, they were both exactly on point, which was foreshadowed earlier on in the episode, when, you know, the truck driver actually had an encounter because there were discrepancies in the time on both of them, when Mulder started the stopwatch at the exact same time. So yeah, this one was probably just a play by the government, and it's interesting. Yeah, he was saying they have access, or they've used technology that he's never seen before. Maybe reverse engineered some of the alien technology they had, and have been able to harness it and use it on their own. And this was probably like probably maybe a field test for it, and a good way to test it on Mulder and Scully.
Center for UFO Studies in Chicago, MUFON, NICAP. None of them have ever reported a week of such activity. It began in Tennessee, where Ranheim
Off the
was
charts.
encountered.
Off the charts.
The sightings are following the path of the truck.
And after last night's hoax, look at this. 7 sightings in Mattawa, Washington. That's 100 miles away.
Aliens?
Looks like they want their colleague back.
Hey, bust the brother out.
Driven full circle through Mattawa twice. There's nothing here.
I think in terms, I know there has been really great episodes this season, such as Ice, and there was one directly following that. I can't remember what the name was. Oh my gosh, I just watched it, which is absolutely brilliant as well. But I feel like in terms of like the overall conspiracy, the truth is out there amongst our allies, like in terms of like following the main theme of the X-Files, I feel like this episode might be the best of the season thus far. And I love it. Like I said, I love the atmosphere of this episode, the aura, the mystery about it, that, you know, complete element of the unknown. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
It's over there.
It almost feels like it's like a mini movie. It's felt longer than a traditional X-Files episode, even though it's 47 minutes, but in a good way, it's felt longer, if that makes sense. Because I feel like they've jam-packed so much into this episode. Hiding in plain sight, you never know.
That's an intergalactic space greeting. UFO party.
You've seen UFOs?
Last 2 nights. They're drawn to electric power. They hover over the power plant down there.
There's always a power plant. There's always a power plant or some shady building that's disguised as like a power plant. But there's your truck driver.
This is it. There's Ranheim. Braidwood and Stepoff.
Let's see if this actually works out.
7593.
5311.
Open the trunk, please.
Gully hella nervous for this. Gully hella nervous.
Park in line 4.
Thanks.
Surely for a place with high level security, they would maybe be possibly made aware of Scully and Mulder's like appearance
Play these at all times.
and what they look like and what they will try to do potentially and their history and track record. I don't know, because those security cameras got to be doing a lot of work, man. Come on.
We have to go back. We have to go through that door.
Kind of looks suspicious going back.
We have to find other access then.
Mulder, they're not gonna let us.
Hey, you just got to Jedi mind trick him.
Come with me, please.
Yeah, we're lost. We're just looking for. We're trying to
Just
get...
proceed down the hallway.
Yeah, if you could just help us.
Mulder, stop. We're here conducting an investigation.
Proceed down the hallway, please.
Hey, that's a good security guard, man. My guys.
This is level 2 to level 6. I have a male and a female who've identified themselves.
Hold it!
Hey, look at the lining on the walls as well. Hey, they are gonna get in some deep shit for this. This is crazy. Like, this is automatic suspension from the FBI, right? Like, come on.
Come on, guys!
Suspension, termination, everything. Yeah, but look at the... Mulder, you can't be doing that, man. This is your career at stake. Yeah, you notice the lining on the wall, sort of like some layer of protection. And of course, Scully is not there to witness it. It's Mulder alone. And Scully got held back.
Let him go. Let him go. You've done well. You're dismissed.
Okay, so is this another test?
Oh, how badly, very badly you want to look through that window, but it would be pointless.
They're still holding off on it. I love it.
It's dead. After the Roswell incident in 1947, even at the brink of the Cold War, there was an ultra-secret conference attended by the United States, the Soviet Union, the People's Republic of China, Britain, both Germany's,
all
France,
the men them. Yeah, all the men
them. It was
them.
agreed that should any extraterrestrial biological entity survive a crash, the country that held that being would be responsible for its extermination.
How do you know he's not lying about that?
I have the distinction of being one of 3 men to have exterminated such a creature.
But I want to look through that window as well.
I was with the CIA in Vietnam. UFO was sighted for 5 nights over Hanoi. The Marines shot it down and brought it to us. Blank expression as I pulled the triggers haunted me. Until I found you. That's why I come to you, Mr. Mulder, and will continue to come to you to atone for what I've done. And maybe sometime, through you, the truth will be known.
Sometime. It's almost as if Mulder's got it. My curiosity shot through the roof right there at trying to peek through that window. Hey, I gotta big up the production design team as well.
You're awfully quiet, Mr. Mulder. I'm wondering which lie to believe.
And of course he walks walks into the mist, into the fog, into the shadows. Which lie to believe? This has been the best. Oh, I want to say, like, man, that was such a good episode of the X-Files. And like, even like moments such as the beginning of the episode are what make it great, with Mulder and Scully investigating the original sort of site of the truck incident, with how Mulder was responding to Scully in like sort of one-word answers about Scully giving these scientific explanations for what could happen. It's conceivable. Possibly. It's feasible. Like, you know what I mean? I love those little moments between the two. And I feel like, yeah, Scully called out Deep Throat on, you know, his lies this episode, and basically feeding into Mulder's obsession and passion. And you don't know anymore. There's a truth hidden between those lies always. I forgot what he said. There's 2 lies and a truth, or like there's a truth hidden between those 2 lies. And yeah, it's interesting to see now, because like we get a little bit of lore information, I believe, in terms of like that UN Council, basically, that UN Council sort of pact right there between the countries, in terms of like, if an extraterrestrial being was ever captured and ever held by a country, that being must be exterminated. But I don't know what the grounds of that is. Maybe like, is it exterminated after the research is done on it? After, you know, we've got all we can out of it. So I feel like that rule is possibly going to be broken during the series, or might have been broken by multiple countries already. Curiosity overwhelms everyone, and, you know, certain countries, not just the US, all those other countries as part of the UN pact, might have broken that initiative already, in terms of like they've come into the they've come into possession of an extraterrestrial being, and they just couldn't help themselves. They're like, no, we need to get the jump on other countries and stuff like that. So like this political sort of espionage, and sort of like, yeah, I just feel like that is going to get deeper and deeper as the show goes. Not deeper and deeper, but I feel like it's going to get bigger and bigger as the show goes on. But yeah, in terms of like this, not evil hiding in plain sight, but in terms of like the truth being out there in plain sight, I feel like this episode perfectly encompassed the whole theme of the X-Files, in terms of like, it could be a random truck on a highway you see. You do not know what it's carrying. A random truck, like Mulder was saying, that you think is carrying livestock, you think is carrying, auto parts, is housing an extraterrestrial being right there and transporting it to a facility. You had the sort of instance as well with Scully, just handing out her pen to a lady with kids, just asking it at the rent-a-car place, and everyday encounters you think that are just fine. Oh, a simple nice gesture, bang, that pen was possibly switched up, or in that moment the device was planted to spy on Scully through a pen. And it just, makes you wonder that Scully and like Mulder are just pawns in this whole game. But Deep Throat did warn Mulder this episode about the device. That's why he cut the breaker, because I feel like it exposed him as well. If Deep Throat was heard talking to Mulder. So it was also, to protect Deep Throat and to protect Mulder in a way as well. And warn Mulder about the device too. So yeah, this episode was absolutely fantastic. In terms of like I was saying before, an episode that encompasses the whole theme of the X-Files thus far, and all this government conspiracy, espionage and things like that. I feel like this was the best episode of the series. I know we've had Ice, and there was an episode following Ice. I can't remember the name for the life of me. That was absolutely brilliant too. I feel like this episode was the one. And yeah, we're getting closer and closer to the truth, man. It was so good. It was so good. Again, Scully not there to witness the sort of chamber that the extraterrestrial being was in, with the bed being empty as the camera slowly panned around. I feel like, you guys watching this episode for the first time at the time, and me watching it for the first time now, my curiosity peaked in that moment. I'm just like, we all wanted to take a look around that window, and Mulder ended up doing that, but the creature had already been terminated or potentially taken to a secure facility. Yeah, what lie do we believe? Like, what lie is the truth with what Deep Throat was saying? Maybe that whole thing was a hoax between exterminating an extraterrestrial being, and it's just to keep Mulder in check right now, and they're housing it in a facility, in a secret government facility. Maybe there's deals between nations to share that knowledge, and we don't know what the actual truth is at the moment. It is out there, but we don't know what the actual truth is. Maybe they made a deal with the aliens to return the brother, because we know they were looking for him. The aliens ain't just gonna let one of them go out like that and let it slide. Come on, man, they're gonna be looking for their brother. They need to keep their sort of their existence hidden. So yeah, what are the aliens doing about? Oh man, we saw the ship in the. Oh, it was great stuff. Great stuff from Deep Throat providing the fake image as well. Mulder finding out that it's fake. That interaction between Mulder and Scully about the image potentially being fake, and Mulder hell bent on it being a real photo. And he took the time back to think over it. What if maybe Scully's right? That's why their dynamic is so good, man. Oh, I love it. What an episode of the X-Files, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed it. It's been your boy Elie Moses. Take care. God bless. Peace.